Planet Mission Part 1 by David Claiborne, as read by the author. New chapters every Monday. The full novel is available on Amazon.com and other online retailers. Links in the description. Chapter 7. How You Fall from Space. They met at Platform 9 the next day at precisely 13:30 for their departure to Polus IV per Tegan's instructions. The platform was nothing more than a space in the ring with an airlock and a large 9 painted on the doorway. The missionaries felt irritable. They had been instructed not to eat beforehand to limit discomfort during the drop. Since their departure was in the mid-afternoon, none of them had eaten breakfast or lunch. Dropships could theoretically depart at any time, but it was most efficient to time the drop for when Polus Station aligned with the spaceport below. The airlock doors opened, and to their surprise, Captain Jackson stepped out to greet them. "Good afternoon. You lucky people get to have me as your pilot at least one more time. If everyone's here, come aboard. We'll launch in about 20 minutes. "Molly's not here yet," Bo said. "Well, someone better go find her then," the captain said. "If we don't make our drop window, we have to wait another hour and a half for the station to come back around, and you all are looking peckish. I don't need a bunch of hungry missionaries spoiling my fun." Waters gave Bo another look when they heard a woman say, "I'm here." Molly came running up to the group, her duffel over her shoulder. Bo noted that she was wearing her gravity boots again. "Everything all right?" Bo asked. "I'm fine," Molly replied. Captain Jackson was already in his flight suit, but the rest of them needed to get dressed before they could depart. "Here, put these on," he said. He tossed a helmet to each of them as they boarded the ship. Stuffed inside each helmet was a flight suit. "Why do we have to wear these?" Jazzy asked. "We're just going to take them off again in a few minutes. We're all in good enough shape for the trip. We passed Mufasa standards." "They're to keep your insides from becoming outsides," the captain said. "Make it quick. We don't want to miss our window." They made it quick as they could, then found their seats. The interior of the dropship was austere in comparison to Polus Station. The passenger compartment consisted of metal walls covering a metal frame. So little attention had been given to creature comforts that the interior had not been finished. The seats looked like they had been taken out of a museum. There were no windows, save for the cockpit, which was visible through a narrow doorway. Worker positions delivered their equipment and secured their gear and cargo using straps, nets, and a system of channels and locks built directly into the floor. "This is archaic," Junebug said. "Yeah, Molly began. "It's incredible," Junebug finished. She was about to say concerning, but she did not want to dampen Junebug's enthusiasm. Molly took some comfort in seeing that she was not alone. Jazzy did not look happy with their accommodations either. She was having a spirited discussion with Waters near the front row of seats, but Molly could not hear what she was saying from where she, Bo, and Junebug helped the worker positions stow the equipment. They finished and fastened themselves in. As they sat in their seats, one by one their helmets snapped back into place, locking their vision forward and immobilizing their heads. "Is this normal?" Molly asked. "Perfectly normal," Captain Jackson said. He walked up and down the rows of seats, pulling on their harnesses and shaking their helmets to make sure they were secure. He finished and made his way to the cockpit. "Don't you have to give us another safety talk, Captain?" Jazzy asked, with just the barest touch of sarcasm permissible for decorum. Captain Jackson turned and looked at her with a special gleam in his eye. "Oh, I think this will be much more fun if you experience it without any preconceptions." "All systems clear checks, Tower. Docking clamp control has been transferred to you, ready to drop," they heard the captain say as he fastened his own harness. "Roger, dropship. Computer-controlled launch system engaged. Prepare for docking clamp release in approximately 1 minute." It was the longest minute of their lives. Molly was strapped in so tight she could barely move. She certainly could not turn her head. She felt like part of the ship. Her heart pounded inside her chest and they had not even moved. "Stand by for departure. 3, 2, 1. There was a hydraulic whoosh and mechanical clang as the docking clamps opened. Instantly the drop ship shot away from Polus Station at incredible speed, arcing toward the moon below as the ship cast off. The force of their acceleration pressed Molly into her seat. She was just starting to adjust to the acceleration when the radio crackled. Altitude 128 kilometers. Aft steering jets cut off. Engine cut off. "What do you mean engine cut off?" she said aloud. She heard Jazzy's voice in front of her and thought she must be making a similar protest but could not hear her. The cabin lit up with a glow of fire outside the ship, visible and bright through the windows of the cockpit. As the ship plunged into the atmosphere, the friction of their descent pushed the dropship through the air so hard that it ignited. A deafening roar filled Molly's ears as they entered the atmosphere. Initiating 80-degree bank. The dropship banked so far to port that it was almost perpendicular to the surface below. The force pressed Molly against the side of her restraints. The ship banked to starboard, then back to port, then starboard again. Each turn threatened to throw them from their seats. 2 massive explosions like thunderclaps sounded right outside the ship. Several passengers gasped audibly, though Molly could not tell who. They were losing speed, but Molly found herself glad she could not move. The back-and-forth motion would have battered her were she not practically bolted to the chair. S-turn series complete. Beginning descent. Manual control restored, the radio said. Thank you, the captain replied. What have we been doing besides descending? Molly wondered aloud. At last, the dropship stopped turning. The roaring decreased, but they still plunged nose down to the moon below. Molly gripped the armrests and clenched her teeth. Her toes tingled. It can't be as steep as it looks, she said to herself. We're descending at an angle of 19 degrees, Captain Jackson yelled back into the cabin. That's about 7 times steeper than most flights land on Earth. Perfectly standard procedure. Think of it like going down a water slide. It's steeper, Molly said with increasing dread. They could see the spaceport approaching through the cockpit windows. The dropship did not seem to be slowing. Molly could hardly believe what was happening to them. Why aren't we slowing down? She said aloud, although she doubted that anyone heard her. The captain raised the nose at last. The descent slowed perceptibly, but not enough for comfort. She could hear more hydraulics at work and said, probably the landing gear as the dropship surfed onto the landing strip. Molly heard 2 loud screeches to her left and right, then a third screech as the front tires contacted tarmac. Molly's body accelerated once more, this time forwards as the dropship braked suddenly. That's the parachutes deploying, the captain called out. They use parachutes to slow down? Molly said. It was all too primitive. Junebug gave a whoop and started clapping. The dropship rolled forward into the spaceport, coming to a stop at last, and the engines powered down. There was an audible sigh of relief from inside the cabin. Many of the missionaries tried to remove their harnesses. The ship had stopped moving, and they were eager to get as far away as they could. Captain Jackson came aft and assisted with the restraints. Molly fell forward out of her seat when the captain unfastened her harness. He helped her onto her feet and gave the back of her helmet a friendly smack. Molly wobbled forward and found Jazzy. They leaned against each other, bonded in mutual misery. And that is how you fall from space, Captain Jackson proclaimed. Why weren't the engines on? No need. The dropship glides into the spaceport. It's very efficient. Gah! Captain Jackson was chipper and alert, energized by the drop. The missionaries were not. Drops aren't for everyone, but I love them, he said with a genuine grin just as he came to help Waters. I can see why the regulations state not to eat anything before a drop, Waters said. It's not a regulation. I just got tired of cleaning out helmets, so I have the station tell you not to eat anything, Captain Jackson replied. I tell them it's a Mufasa policy or some nonsense. No one ever bothers to look it up. I always eat a big breakfast the day of a drop. Captain, Waters began, but he suddenly felt too ill to argue. Captain Jackson did not need him to speak to understand what he was thinking after weeks of traveling together. You'll see me no more soon enough, Waters. After you get off this ship, you may never see me again. That probably goes for the rest of you, too. It's been my pleasure to be your captain. This is what I was made for.